So x minus 3 times x plus 4. The first thing I'm going to do is distribute that out. So you may have heard the word FOIL. That is a process to help you remember how to distribute two binomials to each other. If you have a flow sheet and like that word, because it's not a real math word. It's a shortcut to learn how to distribute. So that tells you a little bit about why she didn't like it. I don't mind it. I'm okay with it. Whatever you want to do. So FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, and last, because we're multiplying the first two terms together, the outer two terms together, the inner two terms together, the last two terms together. It's just a systematic way to multiply everything in the first set of parentheses by everything in the second set of parentheses. So that's how you multiply two binomials together. So I get x times x, which is x squared, 4 times x, which is 4x, negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x, and negative 3 times 4, which is negative 12. That does simplify a little bit because I can combine my terms. The 4x and the negative 3x gives you just x. Well, today we're going to focus on going from here back to those two parentheses. That's going to be the goal for today. And we take those two sets of parentheses, or take the final answer and go back and find the two sets of parentheses that would be the two factors. That's going to be the goal. So I'm going to unfoil. Well, to do that, I'm going to think about where the pieces come from. So this 12, where did the 12 come from? The negative 3 and the 4. Those are, what would you call those of 12? Factors of 12. So the two things in the ends of the parentheses have to be factors of, in this case, 10. Right? So I'm going to list all the factors of 10. What are all the factors of 10? 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Right? Those are my options. There my options were 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. There is a magic combination that works for this particular binomial. Up there, it was 4 and 3. Well, why 4 and 3? 4 minus 3 is 1x, right? So that's how we pick which set. We want to know which ones will combine to give me the x in the middle. Well, I've got to actually think about quite a few things to decide that. I know that the 1 and the 10 and the 2 and the 5 have to multiply together to give me negative 10. How do numbers multiply together to give you negatives? One of them has to be a negative. Well, if one of these is a negative and one of these is a positive, it feels like subtraction, right? Because you combine them together, you get subtracted. Which one of these pairs of numbers will combine or subtract, in this case, to give me the 3? The 5 and the 2. Does everyone see that? So I'm going to try it. This method that I'm teaching you is called guess and check. I'm guessing that the answer might be 2 and 5, and I'm going to check it by following. Any questions so far? And x and the quick question, those of you who have learned factoring, is this how you learn? Very similar, isn't it? Any other options I've got? Or what is this velocity? This, the Korean. Okay, well, use the Korean. That works great. Do what? The way that I do it is almost identical to the Korean method. The difference is I don't do the whole crossing. Y'all know, those of you who know what I'm talking about. I don't do the crossing because I think I lose a few of you in the cross. So I don't do that, but other than that, the way that I do it is almost identical. So if you've done the Korean method, what I teach will be normal. No one learned it by grouping and factoring or anything like that. You did? Do what? Did you if you do something kind of like this. You didn't do this. Okay. However you do it is wonderful. If you need me to come see you at some point and really show you your way, I'll have to figure out what you're doing. But I think I know all the different ways. I'm only going to teach one way because those of you who've seen teachers teach more than one thing, how many of you get them all mixed up? So I'm only going to teach one way, but if you want me to teach you a different way, you just come see me and we will do that. Does that work for everyone? Okay, so does everyone see how I got the 5 and the 2 and the x and the x? Those are the only way this will work. Now I have to decide if the 5 is positive or if the 2 is positive. And I'm going to look back up at the 3. What is the 3? It's negative. So which one has to be negative for the 2x and the 5x to give me a negative 3x? The 5. Right? Any questions about that? Make sure you are taking notes on this. Any questions? So this is our first job today, so learn how to do this. If there's questions about that. All right, let's look at the next one. List out the first 15 perfect squares. I do want these to stay in your notes. What in the world am I talking about? When you square root the ones that come to whole numbers, well, how do you create that list? Okay, square the numbers. Square 1. What's 1 square? Square 2. Square 3. Square 4. Square 5. Square 6. 36. Square 7. 40. Square 8. 64. Square 9. 80. Square 10. 100. Square 11. 100. Square 12. 140. Square 13. 169. And square 14. 109. And square 15. Alright. There's 2 factoring techniques that we're going to look at today. One is unfoiling. The other one is a thing called a difference of perfect squares. One of the hardest things students have with differences of perfect squares is not recognizing these numbers. I hesitate to say you have to memorize them because you do have a calculator. You could recreate that list. Couldn't you? 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared, 6 squared. But it is very beneficial to you to have seen the list, to be aware that these numbers are a little bit special. They're perfect squares. So I put them in your notes. You will kind of need to refer to them. So I want to multiply x minus 2 times x plus 2 using FOIL. And what do you get? Good. So x squared minus 2x plus 2x minus 4, which just gives you x squared minus 4. Well, remember, today we're going to try to learn how to go backwards. What's special about this compared to any other problem you FOIL? Yeah, the middle 2 terms cancel out, didn't they? What made that happen? These were the exact same numbers in the parentheses, but one was a plus and one was a minus. And they gave me a perfect square here, and a perfect square here, and a subtraction in the middle. What's the difference? Does the word difference mean in math? Subtract. So I know I've heard the word difference of perfect squares. Let's take the difference of perfect squares. That's what this is, and it's a very special factoring technique where we go backwards. So that's the other one we're going to learn today. We're going to learn how to factor trinomials and how to do it with squares. We will to go backwards. We're going to start with the first one, and that's factoring trinomials. So we have 2 goals today. you some differences on how we factor different trinomials. So I have x squared minus x minus 6. I have x squared minus 5x plus 6 and x squared minus 5x minus 6. They all have different answers, though it will kind of start in the same place. Remember, this is an answer to a FOIL problem. So even though we're calling it factoring, that is the official term. Since some math teachers don't even like the word FOIL, you sure wouldn't want to use this mathematically. But we want to unfoil. There's no mathematics to that. That's what we want to do, right? We want to FOIL backwards. That's the goal. We just want to get this back into the two parentheses that it can. Does that make sense? So, I know there are two parentheses here. I want to know what are my options for what can go where. I know the first number, the letter X, it has to be X and X in both sets of parentheses. Someone tell me why. Because it multiplies to give you X squared. So it has to be an X, it has to be another X. What are my options for what could go in the second place? 2 and 3 and 1 and 6. Some of you can do this without writing that out, and that's okay. If you don't have to write it out, you don't. It's fine. But for now, while we're new at this, I'm going to write it out. So I could do 1 and 6, and I could do 2 and 3. Are they going to have the same sign or opposite signs, and why? Opposite signs. How do you know? They are multiplying to give me a negative 6, right? So one's going to be a plus and one's going to be a minus. Anytime I notice that, my brain is going to think subtract. Which set of those subtracts to give me 1? Because there's a 1 here. Which one of those subtracts to give me 1? And brain's even thinking ahead. He's even saying which one needs to be positive and negative. If you want to think that at this point, you can. If your brain can't handle all that at once, that's fine too, either way. So we've got a 2 and a 3. And now I'm going to think about what brain was thinking about. I want them to subtract to give me a negative 1. So which one needs to be in? So do I need positive 2x minus 3x or negative 2x plus 3x? Which one do I need to get the negative 2? Positive 2 minus 3. The beauty of this, though, is what if you accidentally get it wrong? What do? We're going to FOIL it out and check. If you got everything right except the middle sign, what will you do? Flip-flop, right? If everything's right except the sign, just move the signs back. Does that make sense? So, if you're new at this, now some of you did this until you were blue in the face last year. Am I right? Okay, if that's you and you know you're good, that's fine. But if you're new at this and you know that this is new to you and you might get it wrong, what should I do at this point? Check it. How do I check it? FOIL it. If I get the same thing as the original, I did a good job. So let's check. X times x is x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. Is that the same as the original? I did it. So I move on. That makes sense. So is this how we learn this? Is this similar enough that y'all are following? Yes, so far. Still completely different. Who did you have? He did a Korean method. With the, the only difference is this 1 over here, he always thought about that too. Like he did a 1 and a 1 and did some crisscrossing. Does that make sense? I found it. Okay. Cool. As long as you got it, I don't care how you do it. Okay, any questions about that one? Okay. Let's look at the next one. Very similar problem at the beginning, isn't it? So I'll look at what could go in the parentheses. Everyone agree X and X? That's the only options from the beginning. Okay. What are my options for 6? Same sign or opposite sign? Same sign. If they're the same sign, that means we're adding them together to get 5. Which ones add together to get 5? 2 and 3. Do you see why this is a very commonly missed problem? It is. So they will have to be the same sign. But same sign feels like addition. So I'm going to add them together. We know they have to be the same sign, right? How could they combine together to give us -5 and be the same sign? Both negative? So, something we learned. If this is a negative, they will have opposite signs. We will think subtract. If this sign is positive, they will have the same sign, and we will add. Questions about that? Let's look at the next one. Almost an identical question, isn't it? Except the 6 is negative. And what should you do at the end, especially if this is new? Foil it and check it. What needs to go in the beginning of the parentheses? What are my options for the things at the end? 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. Since this is a negative, we'll have opposite signs, so that feels like subtraction. Which ones of these subtract to give me 5? This 6 is 1. So, looks like an almost identical problem, but totally different parentheses set. I do want to get -5 when I combine them. So I get 1x and 6x. Which one needs to be negative to get me -5? And how can I know if I did a good job? Foil. Do you notice we're kind of foiling it as we go and checking as we go? So if you are checking closely as you go, you wouldn't have to foil it at the end. Is anyone lost? You all okay? And if you do it a different way, you do not have to change. You're getting right answers. I don't care how you get those right answers. They are wonderful. Try the bottom 2. Everyone last year was Korean method. I may try to teach when we have a group. I may try to just use exactly the Korean method and not use my method. You didn't use the Korean method. You didn't like it, so you might want another option if you use what I'm doing. It's my favorite because it's logical. If you forget a step, you can go back and figure it out. That's why I like it, but okay, so you like this. I will have to go back and look. I know it's very similar, but the thing I always mess up is how you cross. I have to really think about how that works. X. Yeah, it's very similar. I will find out and go give that to you. Like I said, it's a little different to the way I do it. It's very similar. I mean, when I saw him do it, I didn't even. Korean method?
Oh.
Okay. It's the same thing, but the only difference is the little X in the middle, right? Like
Oh, I
yeah. But as far as the thought process, it's exactly the same.
yeah, like shape your fingers. That goes
Okay, let's look at the first one. What did we get? Did everyone get that however you did it? Okay, and what's the thought process we went through? They're both positive, good. Good. What do you multiply together to give you 4 that you add together to give you 5? Right, that's the question you ask yourself. 4 and 1 works. You might have listed. Now, you will get to the place where you don't have to list them, especially on the ones with a 1 in the front. The ones without the 1 we will want to list. We'll talk about that tomorrow. All the ones you'll have today just have the 1. Still not how you did it. Could you have billings like it? He even wanted it. He had a Korean student teach it to him, that's why he calls it the Korean method. He's the one that really knows how to do it. Okay. Factors of 12 that add to give you 7. Is that the thought process we went through? And what are the factors of 12 that add to give you 7? 3 and 4. Am I going too fast? And they are the same sign, since we are a plus at the end. And what sign are they? Okay, very good.
Miss Kate,
Yes, ma'am.
can we have Gretchen Richards to the office, please?
You think?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's look at these. Now, I just got finished telling you that we aren't doing any with numbers in front of the X. Did I lie to you? Or what? Did I change my mind? I would argue there's not really going to be a number in front of the X.
It's supposed to be yesterday.
Yes, what did we do yesterday? We simplified first by factoring out a greatest common factor. Anytime you come to a factoring problem, the first thing you want to ask yourself is there a greatest common factor? 1, it might make it factorable when it wasn't before, and 2, even if it were factorable either way, it will make it easier. So this one, there is a 2 that factors out of all 3 of them, and an S. You love this? Does that make sense? So I took out a 2x. After I take out a 2x, can I factor that other piece? I'm just going to cover the 2x out, pretend that it's not there. I think we just did it. Didn't we do that one already? Okay. So I'm going to factor. I can redo it, but what are the factors of 4 that add to give you 5? 1 and 4, x and x, they are both plus. That's how we factor with the greatest common factor. Factor it out first, and then go from there. None of the ones on your homework tonight will still have a number in front after the GCF. Does that make sense? tomorrow, but it would have been much more difficult. Where this is something that I can do decently easy. What are my options? Factors of 5. What are the factors of 5? I only have one option. It better work. If not, then it doesn't matter. So it has to be 1 and 5. They do need to be opposite signs. We're subtracting to get -4. So which one needs to be negative? Does that make sense? How can I know if I did it right? FOIL it, right? FOIL those two principles. What are the factors of 7 that add to give you 2? There aren't any. What does that mean for this? It doesn't factor. I need to put one of those in there to let you know there are some things that I can't factor. You won't learn how to factor that later. It just doesn't factor. There's nothing you can do about it. And this last one up here before they get different. I put this one in here because it's not a hard one, but it's one with a lot of options. And I want to show you how to do that. Now some of you look at it and you're like, I know the answer already. I don't have to do anything. But for the rest of you who don't see it, get your calculators out. I need to know my options. I know 1 and 72, right? But then just start dividing. I want them to subtract to give me 1, right? So 2 goes into 72. But that doesn't work, does it? 3 goes into 72. Does that one work? Try 4. Try 5. 5 doesn't work. Try 6. Try 7. Go all the way through until you get, someone tell me what works. 8, 9. Now some of you do that because you remember from 3rd grade those multiplication tables, right? You remember the 8 and 9. But it's been a long time. So I just wanted to show you, if you come to one that you get stuck on, just start dividing in your calculator until you find the pair that works for you. I didn't ask questions about why they are the signs they are. I wanted it -1, so that's how I needed to go. Now, one thing I like about the method that I'm doing is your thinking. In your thinking, you can do things that I didn't teach you. Like the next one. I didn't teach you how to do a 4th power, did I? But could we figure it out by thinking what multiplies together to give us x to the 4th? X squared and x squared? Y'all see how this method takes you a little farther than if you're not thinking. Now, the Korean method to me, you're still thinking, so very similar. But as long as you're thinking, we can take this and it can do more things. X squared. What are the factors of 1? 1 and 1. That's my only option. If this factors, it has to factor into that, right? How can I know if it works? FOIL it, right? X times x is x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. 1x squared plus 1x squared, does that give me 2x squared? And 1 times 1, does that give me 1? Worked pretty well, didn't it? Again, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't teach you how to do that. But just a thought process of unfoiling got me. X squared. What multiplies together to give me x squared? What multiplies together to give me 2y squared? 2y, 1y. All I did was I have a y now. That's my only options. We're adding to get -3. What would the signs be? How many of you would have thought that was a really tough problem before? We didn't get to different experience, but it's okay. Not on your homework tonight. So that's good. Your homework is coming in.
wants the activity at all.
Now you got it?
Yeah.